Waiting.
Wonderful.
All right. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Grace Lushera, Mary Modhoy, Nancy Jared, Richard and Roida Faith. Please put your questions on the chat. Keep them coming. Guys, remind your classmates we have to start in like 2 to 5 minutes. On Telegram and on WhatsApp. Joseph, do we have the sign language interpreter?
Yes, Byron is here.
Okay, so maybe you could pin Byron and Eric. Eh?
Okay.
So those in session, I need that. Those in the class, I need a volunteer to introduce Eric. Eh? I will post his bio for you here. But yes, can I get a volunteer? Students. My friends. Can I get a volunteer to introduce our guest today? Imagine you being a guest and you can hear students not wanting to introduce you. Suta left.
No.
Any volunteer?
Okay.
No?
Jen, I think I have Brian Derito's hand up.
There's a hand.
Yes, Brian Derito.
So
Okay.
Brian Derito, right? Wait, give me a minute. I paste the entire bio in the chat. Eh? Brian Derito, you're following the chat, eh?
Yes, I am.
Ah.
Should I read the whole? Should I read the whole bio or?
You have the freedom of choice.
Okay.
Yes, plus you people, I sent you his profile. So maybe you can also give highlights. It's just that I have decided to give you some of the more detailed info about our guests. But I
Okay.
know you have an idea. So
Yes.
I think we can officially start the session. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, Caleb and everybody else. Yes, so we are at 45. Can we all get a few more people to join the session? Give me 50. Then we can start. Meanwhile, I want you people haven't engaged on social media. You need to share now, and then remember we have to share at the end with a caption based on what we learned from Eric today. And I apologize, I am calling him just Eric, but I know we all know his engineer, Eric. So big names. I hope we have aspiring engineers here. So please engage with our social media pages. I had already shared the links in the WhatsApp group.
Hello, Jane.
Yes.
How are you?
Fine.
It's Mary.
Yes, Mary.
I'm just saying hi. I already shared I'm already shared on social media myself, so yeah.
Okay. I am hoping everybody else, I will be going, next week on Tuesday, I'm going to give you a summary of who shares what. And remember, I have some awards to several students. Joseph is keeping up the list. Joseph, right?
Yes. So you should know that it's already there. So we are waiting for this analysis, and definitely people will get an award.
I need 2 more people. We cannot start with less than 50. You guys, are you not excited about our guest?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I shared his profile so that you also see how people write CVs.
Yeah.
So I am hoping at the end, after this session, we'll all be very inspired to pursue whatever we want in life. And just before we start, can we have anyone read out the quote that we shared on social media? And Eric, if you can give us your social media handles, we can tag you. If you could put them on the chat side or text me on WhatsApp, I'll put them up. Volunteer for the caption today for the wisdom of Eric.
I'll volunteer.
Faith Nyakwanda.
Yes.
Okay, Faith, you introduce yourself, tell us your year of study and tell us what you're studying, and then go to the quote.
Okay. So my name is Faith Nyakwada. I'm a student at Kenyatta University, and I'm studying Master of Arts in International Relations and Diplomacy. And
What?
the quote is as follows: "If you think I'm here because I'm blind, I think you're totally wrong. I'm here, I'm here because I stand for a vision. I stand for a passion, and my passion is that all people out there have the potential, capability, and resilience to stand all the mud that the world is likely to throw onto them." Yes.
Thank you very much, Faith. So the trick is anyone who answers, I'll say something in class, you message me by your name, your university, year of study, and your current location. I will know how to dispatch you. Oh, we have 50 weekends. So today is officially our second career drill session. Last week, if you remember, we had, not last week, on Tuesday, we had Joseph and everyone else except me. Alexander Maina, somebody is talking.
Done?
Oh, thank you. Yes, on Tuesday, we had a very special guest. And I think today we have a more special guest. So I think every week we're going to make it more special. So I am hoping like after Tuesday session, we've all had the time to reflect on our career paths, reflect on the industries we want to work in, reflect on a few personal affirmations that have to come from within us so that we are able to pursue our career goals as we desire. So today's guest is someone very, very special, very outstanding in everything that he does. And I am going to let, it was Joseph. Brian. Yes, Brian, remember you have to do the intro the way I said, and you remember to message me, and then you proceed to give us highlights about our guest. Make us, those that cannot see him, visualize Eric.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening too.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
So our guest for today is Eric Ngondi. He was honored by the president. He has head of state commendation. He's an engineer in water environment, and environment, a social inclusion facilitator, public servant, and a champion for the rights of persons with disabilities. He's also a motivational speaker. I've had the privilege of hearing from him from several platforms, and he's also a member of the Mandela Washington Fellowship that was launched by Obama for young leaders in Africa. He's also among the volunteers in the Kenya School for the Blind. Since he's visually impaired, so it comes without saying. He also represents youth with disabilities in the United Disabled Persons of Kenya. More to that, he's a black belt holder, so don't mistake his visual impairment for weakness. He can tackle you properly. He works with NEMA as as a compliance officer. So I believe in matters environment, we're in good hands. So Eric Ngondi, the floor is yours. I believe I've done justice to your long bio. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. That was really nice. I am not sure if I heard you say which year you are in and which university, and if you have a disability. I am not sure I heard those points.
I'm Brian Murithi I'm Brian Diritu, but my full name is Brian. Yeah?
Are you from Multimedia?
No, I'm from JKUAT for the year corporate communication. Yes, I have a physical disability. I use a wheelchair.
Ah.
Yes.
So, Brian, thank you so much for doing justice to our guests. I want to know if out of the students, if you have anything else you want to add about Eric before he tells us about himself.
For me, I appreciate the fact that he's also a family man. For for most of us with disabilities, we shy away from that because of some unknown fears, like the fear of the unknown. Is the lady in love with you or just beating you? But with Eric, I think we have a mentor to ask those questions. How do you tell that she's the one or she's just making fun of you? Yeah. So Eric Ngondi, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, may I add something small?
Yes. Who is speaking?
Okay.
You say your name and where you university. Remember the key introduction.
Okay, my name is Caleb Bounda from Kenyatta University, doing recreation and sports management. Okay, in his biography, there's one thing that really captures your eyes when you look at his biography. This is where it says that Eric Ngondi is not just a disabled person by choice, but we find that he became visually impaired after robberies, meaning he never agreed that disability. And also, we are told that he's a promising young leader who is positive, ambitious, and hardworking for social and friendly, and collaborative. Meaning, if it's not due to ambitious nature of Eric and his perseverance, he could have not been where he is. So even as we hear Eric talk to us, you should note that thing that you think that is holding you back never held Eric back, and and despite his ability, I have learned that he has achieved a lot more, even than what he could have achieved before with this site. So let your disability not hold you back. Thank you.
Do you have a disability yourself?
No, I don't have a disability, but I'm specialized in sports and recreation for people with disability at Kenyatta University.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Caleb. Any other additions? And I have 2 minutes to get to Eric.
Jane,
Yes.
this is Mary Wangui Kibe from USIU-Africa.
Okay.
What I'm really excited, I'm really excited to listen to today's guest because first of all, from his biography, we could actually see he's a recipient to a very prominent fellowship, and that's the Nelson Mandela Fellowship that apparently was begun by Obama and Ayali. So I'm very excited to hear his journey through that particular fellowship. First of all, because it's a very prestigious fellowship, and just having such to have such in your CV already, it really guarantees you a very brighter future. So I'm very excited to basically learn and to hear his journey when he was doing that. How he has the experiences he had during the Nelson Mandela Fellowship. I'm really excited to hear that. And I'm really excited to just listen to his journey, how he was able to rise up as much as he wasn't born blind, but he was able to accept his situation and to move on. Because one of the things that is really leading to depression among so many people is because they do not want to accept their situation. But with today's guest, he has come to accept his situation. He has moved on, soldiered on, and become a hero to many people. So I really want to get to hear that, and I'm very excited. I am studying IR and I'm in my third year, third semester. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Mary Kibe. And now I also have the honor of not bragging, but saying I am also a Mandela Washington Fellowship Fellow. And that's how I know Eric for many years, almost 5 years. So I take this opportunity to welcome my fellow, because I hear the Mandela Washington Fellowship is the very prestigious one. So my fellow Mandela Washington Fellow, Karibu sana to today's session. You have amazing students. We are right now at 74. These are students from 5 universities. Kenyatta University, Multimedia University, Zetech University, USIU-Africa, and JKUAT. How do I forget JKUAT? And it is Eric's University. Yes, and JKUAT. And all these students have been taken, we are walking through them for the work readiness, skills, and training program that we have at Light for the World that has been supported by Standard Chartered Bank. So the students you're just about to speak to are students who have an added advantage compared to students who have not been through this kind of program. So karibu sana, and I want you to probably just greet your audience and maybe just tell us anything they have left in their introduction, like one thing they have forgotten, and then I'll go straight to the key questions we have for the day. Eric?
Good evening, amazing students.
Good
Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's I'm more than delighted to be here, and it's a pleasure. And thanks, thank you very much for taking time to be here, to learn, to share. It's an opportunity, and I'm sure from what maybe we are going to be sharing, you gain something. Yeah, thank you very much. So I've loved the way you guys have introduced me with all those huge title and interesting thing, especially my dear fellow, Yali fellow as well, and also Brian and all other students who've said one thing or the other nice about me. So I'm more than glad to be here with you. So maybe what is not reflected in my CV is just that I'm a Christian, that I love God, that I'm a family person, and I love being with people, sharing and learning from each other. Besides that, the rest I think is on CV. Maybe I'll touch one thing or the other if I'm asked questions. Alternatively, I could just go through my bits and piece of my story as we share. I don't know if that's how you want me to go about it. Thank you.
Yes, actually, the best way is that I have some questions that came in from the students. We also have some few questions that are already in the chat. But before we can go to those questions, I feel like you can spend some minutes, let's say like 10, just telling us about yourself, your milestones, and just who is this Eric Ngondi?
Thank you very much. And thank you for, giving me the opportunity to share with you guys. In case maybe there is someone who is visually impaired like me, maybe who cannot see the screen or using a screen reader like me, I'm 5'7". I'm just 1 year past what we call the youthful age in this country. And yeah, I don't want to say my weight. I'm not too heavy, I'm not too light. Just out of curiosity, if someone is visually impaired and might want to know a bit how I look or interested in all that. Now, key things that maybe that have happened in my life, in my space. I grew up in Nairobi. I'm originally from Embu. And so I've been in Nairobi. I have spent most of my time in Nairobi and also partly in Embu. I went to primary school here in Nairobi and I enjoyed that bit. I enjoyed, just like any kid growing up, enjoying playing, adventure, and, learning. And my favorite subjects were maths and basically sciences. In high school, I enjoyed being in everything. I played sports. I was the school captain for Yellow House. I also excelled in studies, and I also socialized. In other words, what I'm telling you guys, it's important to be all-round person. All these things contribute to how you grow or form as an individual or as a person. In campus, I enjoyed, of course, just socializing. I'm sure most of you love doing that. I also enjoyed, of course, catching up with my studies and just also reading current affairs, because where you are now is a small microcosm of the world out here. It's a small, for lack of a better word, let's say it's a sort of a safe, nice, bubbly environment. And sooner or later you'll come out here. But whatever you're doing there is a preparation. You're setting the ground for what you're going to experience out here. However, life will throw you, as I keep on saying, many things along the way. And I'll be proud of you if you really do not let that put you down, but pick up yourself and move. So after campus, that's when I experienced my first incident whereby I was attacked after I had hiked Ngong Hills with my fellow students. I call them students because they were my campus mates. We had just finished campus. So I was attacked, and in that incident, I lost the one eye on my left. And then 1 year down the line, that's towards early 2011, I was attacked again. This time I was on the road at night around 10, driving home with my parent, and then we were attacked. And in this incident, I lost the right eye. I had just started working, just like many of you, when you finish campus now, you'll be you'll be excited to join, an institution or get employed. And I love what you are doing now, because these things are what the employer is really looking, especially in a world that we live in nowadays. And then, so my employer at that point in time did not, it was a sort of a culture shock for them that I had lost the sight at first time. I mean, the one eye, and then the experience of losing the other one was more traumatizing to me, and also seemingly to the employer, because he decided that I wasn't able to carry on my duties like I was used to, and moved me into another, let's call it another job in that institution. I used to work as a quality environment, health and safety officer. He decided that a blind person is more suited to a telephone operator. And that's where I was put. Now in life, you'll experience things like that. You decide this is the line you want to take, but things will happen along the way, and people may decide for you, or circumstances may make you decide to do otherwise. The most important thing is to really adjust, and adjust well. Is this something that you want, or is this something that you can pick up and move on with? Okay. So for me, I decided that that was not what I was cut out for. As an engineer, having studied at JKUAT, I thought that was not what I was cut out for. It's not a bad job. In fact, I respect telephone operators. However, I felt that was not what I really was had done 5 years for. So I kept on pushing my employer for some time, until he decided, okay, Eric, you can get back to your to your job. I was back again as a quality environment, health and safety. And I'm sure you've been you may have been talked to or taught about issues of reasonable accommodation. So that was not something which was not provided to me. In fact, I was given back what I wanted, but in essence, I could now not survive in that space. So what was happening is that I've been given what I want, but I cannot deliver, simply because there's no reasonable accommodation. Like what? For example, a screen reading, a computer with a screen reader, or a guide, or someone I could, work with. So such sort of reasonable accommodations were there. It's not that I was not delivering, but soon or later, my employer decided to terminate my services. And I, as if most of you or all of you believe in God, you know that when one door is closed, maybe a gate has been opened elsewhere. So I wasn't like frustrated. I wasn't like going to give up. I started applying other things. And in the process, that's when I got the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And in the process, I got other jobs, including where I am now at the moment. So I think that's just a brief of my life, I can say. Thank you.
Wow, what a story. I am very sure I'm not the only person who you have inspired. And a lot of questions actually that had come from students were mainly like, how did you maneuver change? How did you transition to your new life and all that? And I think that has really been answered. I, however, have a question to you, Eric.
Yes.
And I will pull it away from your current occupation, because we know what you studied at the university, but I'm curious, like, what really, like, did you ever at one point, now you had the papers, you've started this new life of being visually impaired, and did you ever feel at one point that you will never get a job? Were you ever scared of not having a job or not getting a job, especially after being like terminated on the basis of an impairment?
Yes, Jane. Yeah. I went through two phases of that. One, the moment I was in the hospital bed and I could not see nothing. At that point in time, I wondered to myself, what do visually impaired persons, or in that case, blind people do? And I could not really, think of one thing that they do. Of course, I could remember there's a wonderful musician called Steve Wonder. I'm not a musician. I don't think that was something I felt maybe I could do. However, I was so low. I thought the best thing I could do is maybe go back to my rural home, and I felt like maybe I'll be sitting somewhere on a chair and spend the rest of the day there and go maybe back inside. I think that was what was happening to me. That was the lowest point at that time. The second instance is yes, when my job was terminated, and it was terminated just around when I was we were about to have our wedding, actually 1 month before our wedding. And as a young man with a job and you're about to marry, and what sometimes our society associates with marrying, having to have this beautiful wedding, spend some colossal amount of money. So I knew with my job at that point, I could do the beautiful wedding and then continue with my job and do a bit of saving after that. At this point in time, when I lost the job, that circumstance did not stop me from, stopping the wedding. We continued as planned. We spent what we had planned to spend. However, it will be paramount for you to really be a dynamic person. And in case of worst case scenario, you really adjust or change, be a diverse person. So at that point in time after the wedding, of course, when the honeymoon was over, that's when now it hit me that, now as a man of the house who just got married, you really need to provide. And I started looking for jobs. And for a whole year, I actually did not have a job, but I kept myself busy. I was volunteering. I really did not want to spend the rest of the day in the house when my wife steps out to go and work, So you just have to challenge yourself. The moment you graduate, don't be tempted to sit in the house because your parents, let's say, are providing, or because things are just there. Make yourself useful, get out there, volunteer while you're applying and hoping that, those opportunities will come. So at that point in time, I really thought maybe I won't get a job, but I pushed on. I knew I had the papers. I knew I could work on whatever I focused my mind on. And yes, eventually I did get something. Thank you, Jen.
Wow. So Eric, what keeps you going? What is your motivation? Please don't tell me your wife and family. We want to know your other extra energy. Yes. What keeps you going?
What keeps me going? I love life. And we should all love life, because really, I always say, the moment people were thrown out of that Garden of Eden, it just meant that we'll have to experience things on this planet, whether you like it or not. So the thing about me is that I love life. I love socializing. I love interacting. I love challenging myself. I love, let's say, interesting thing like, watching a movie, listening to music, occasionally doing a dance or two, and just, socializing and, enjoying the company of, people. So that's something that keeps me going. Of course, I also pray to God. That's something that encourages me, especially when I'm in the lowest point in my life, or just even when things are really going good, I take a moment to just reflect and pray and play as well. Thank you.
Wow, so rounded. Do we have any quick questions from the students before I can shoot my next question? people, you have a moment.
I have a
I have
question.
no questions.
Wait,
Okay.
raising
I have a
hand,
question.
guys.
Yes.
You unless you cannot use the chat platform, you raise your hand and I will call out. Joseph, mute everybody and we will only go with hands. Josphera.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Josphera.
I'm Joshua Mweli from Mount Kenya University. I graduate in Science
Okay.
Lab. My question is, did you face any stigma and how did you cope with it?
Oh, thank you for that good question. Yes, sometimes, yes, I have actually. And this is not, it's not particular to me. I believe not only as a person with disability, but also even other people without disabilities do face stigmatization and discrimination. Personally, I face it sometimes not outright, but in a subtle way. When I was looking for a job, I will send my CV. I did not say what my disability is. I just sent my CV, and I was called many places, in the banks, in the telecom industries, in engineering firms. And the moment I appear there, then the story changes. I remember in one place, I was called for a safety and health officer job. I had sent my CV. And when I got there, they were doing a construction. They were actually renovating the offices. So I was using the help of a guide. Now you can imagine this blind guy at a construction site. So the first thing, the person who was there, this was an engineer on the ground. He looked at me and said, please don't come here. What if a rock falls on you? What if something happens to you, you know? For him, that was it. He simply just looked at me, saw a person who is not, who cannot see, and that was the end of it. Actually, I wasn't called back. The guy was really apologetic, told me a lot of stories, and said that, you know, he did not know that I was blind. And therefore, and remember, he had just called me for an interview at the site. So when he saw the person I was, he said he felt really sorry for me, you know, that sort of a thing. Yeah. Other place I was called and recalled at the same institution, because I sent my CV. I'll send my CV, and this institution somehow kept on loving the CV, but did not love the person. So thrice they called me, thrice I went, and every time I appear there, they used to say, oh, we are very sorry, we had not prepared again. The third time, when they noted I was coming, they actually chased me away at the gate. They sent someone to tell me, Eric, actually, we are very sorry. We did not mean to call you. We meant to call someone else. So that's the sort of a thing I've sort of experienced. Thank you for your question.
Very, 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 very inspiring. Like, you get the door closed on you many times, but you still never gave up. But guys, remember he said he loves life. So because of the love for life, he kept on trying. So I will allow Brian Derito to ask his question.
One Eric, from government institution perspective, has anything changed in terms of, you know, getting people with disabilities to work? Because there's the constitutional requirement of 5% in all public institutions, and the latest progress I had was that the percentage is only 1% as we speak. So from your end, are there any incentives or initiatives to increase that number, because as it is, there are many persons with disabilities out here who are looking for work from various levels of education, be it high school, TVET, or even campus. So from your end, because this program is from the private sector, from your end, are there any initiatives or incentives to have more people with disabilities in the workplace, in the government institutions? Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for that wonderful question. I think this question, we can look at it from different angles. If we wait for the government to do everything for us, to take in all of us, chances are that will not happen. However, we really have to work hard to make it at least the government try to take as many of us as possible. So has things improved? Every day I see there is some sort of effort by the government to try and have persons with disability on board, yeah? But yes, the effort is not as fast or conspicuous as we will want it, you know? That means we need to look at other alternative sort of job markets for us as persons with disabilities, including private sector and other institutions. And I like what Jane and team and Light for the World are doing for you guys, and as well as their sponsor, yeah? Because these are the sort of things, alternative things that you really need to make yourself relevant out here. So if you wait for the government, there is this sort of a myth that goes around, especially for persons with disability, that if I finish, I really will get a job with government. And when you don't get that, you feel, you know, disappointed. I think we need to broaden our horizon as persons with disability. Private sector is also another area. However, we need to continue championing for it to open doors for us. The other challenge is people with disability sometimes join the government, and that will be the end of it. You know, there's no career progression in that space. You know, you just remain there simply because you know, you're hired by the government. So there are challenges within that sort of a structure system. However, we need to play our part to keep on, you know, learning as a student first, to increasing our sort of experience through volunteering, through even, you know, gaining knowledge and experience through such sort of forum and training. And that's why I think Jane is always encouraging you to call your fellow students to join this, because it's one way of learning and sharing. Yeah, so that's what I can say, that there is a sort of a wanting to put us as persons with disability, but yeah, we are not yet there. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph, help me with the names. We have Mary Kibe.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I really think Mr. Eric should be a mental health advocate. I mean, his optimism is just on another level. And so many of us don't accept the situations you're in, and we end up being in a very bad place, but he's very accepting of his situation. So thank you for that. My question will be about the fellowships, for instance. I don't know what tips probably you'll give us, like some of us, when it comes to applying for fellowships. I have made an attempt to apply. I've actually applied 2 in the past. I got one, and the other one I never got it. I still do not know why I did not get it, but yeah, so maybe tips on how to apply for some of these fellowships. And you can even give us examples of some of them and tell us even a little bit more about YALI. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful, Mary. Thank you for that, and thanks for adding another cup you know, for B. I think I should try that mental health advocate thing you just talked about. But yes, as regarding the fellowships, you really have there are several things that you can do. I'm sure by you having got a couple of them, there's something that we can do. One is actually sharpen our experience, our learning, and our knowledge, so that when you apply, you do not just need to show, you need to show that this is a versatile person. This is a person who can adapt, let's say, in different environments. So like how I got the fellowship, the Mandela Washington Fellowship, I was at home. That was actually that moment when I didn't have a job. And it came like a flash news on TV that some guys sat somewhere, there was a fellowship, and they look forward to it being launched. So something small passed on TV, and I said, what was that? So I went and Googled about it. So it was there. Then I applied. One of the things that you need to do when you fill in those forms is to really have an alternative person, maybe from a different field or a different career, to actually look at it and give their take, what they think about your application. Because most of the time we think in a certain way. We are oriented in a certain way, and therefore the way you are likely to apply in the same format, scholarship 1, scholarship 2, and others. So it's paramount that you have someone looking at your application and also applying early enough, so that you know, by the time the deadline closes, the way we are so used to applying, last minute, your thing is already inside. Most of the people who review fellowships or even jobs, they do not wait for the last day, the deadline. Actually, by the time it gets to the deadline, chances are they've already got their numbers, they've already got the people they'll give the fellowship. So you need to always watch out for the deadlines, to have different people looking at your CV. And the 3, continue sharpening your knowledge, your experience, your learning. And the 4th one, I think it's keep trying. When you do just 2 and you give up, I think you've not tried. When you do 10 and give up, I think you've not tried. Even me, I apply several of them. Sometimes my friends get them, I do not, but I keep on trying. I think it's paramount that you keep on trying and also keep looking at different fields. Let's say if you're a person who's studied in something in sports, it's okay to apply in the sports area, but look at, how is sports, let's say, how is sports being applied in the area of, let's say, research, in the area of, other areas like, medicine. How is the sports being in that? So you have to look at the scholarship from a different perspective. As for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, I could share with you the experiences I had, but I want Jen to share with you what is it and how do you get it. Thank you.
So sorry, Eric, I just want to pin you just on that point before I can respond again to the Mandela Washington Fellowship. I see somebody raised an emphasis on the volunteering issue is very important. And I feel like before I respond, like how some of us are able to get into this fellowship, I want you to touch on why is volunteering important? Because then they keep saying, oh, I cannot, this job is looking for somebody with 2 years experience, 4 years experience, and I have nothing. Because most students, when they graduate, they'll go back at home, sit, wait for the job to find them, not look for these other opportunities like volunteership to like plug in and stay up to date with the industry. So please shed some light on volunteer experience and how it actually links to adding on to qualifying to some of these fellowships, because clearly most of those fellowships are not academic qualifications.
Right, Jen, you are right. The thing about volunteering is it actually shows something within you, that you are human and you're willing to give up some of your pride, some of your time, some of your experiences, and share with others, because no one is paying you for these things. And some of the scholarship, actually, they emphasizes is on this volunteering, because then that talks a lot about your personality as a person, you know. So it's good to volunteer and even to be a strategic volunteer, you know. So for example, when I lost sight and I lost my job, one of the area I used to volunteer was Kenya Society for the Blind. One, because there, as I go there, I will learn, I will continue learning how or sharpening my skills in the area of, you know, visually impairment. Two, so that's one, being strategic, you know, in your volunteering, because the place you go, you are likely to meet people, to socialize, to network, and those people are likely to tell you one, two things that may lead to, actually that goes to my second point, which volunteering is actually your stepping stone to other things, an opportunity or a relationship, or, you know. So volunteering also exposes you to different things that you probably did not know or did not experience. For example, different cultures. So for example, when we were on the Mandela Washington Fellowship, some people had some experience working in a different companies in the United States or in Africa or wherever. But the thing about that, it really transformed them, because they sort of had a global experience. So you worked in Kenya, you've interacted with Americans, and you know all the unconscious biases that we have for people, you know, the stereotypes that we attribute to people from I don't know where, you know, all those things sort of, they start melting when you are in the volunteering space. And then again, also volunteering is also a safe space, because there is no huge demand on you, because everyone wants you to learn. Everyone wants you to experience something. And then it's also a safe space, because when I'm employed in a space, there's a certain sort of a personality I put on when I'm interacting with, let's say, my junior officers, or when I'm interacting with my CEO or my boss. As a volunteer, you are free to interact with whoever you want, and that also broadens you, and that can form a good network. So that's some sharing on volunteerism. And even the Mandela Washington Fellowship, actually, hugest marks are given on what sort of a volunteer are you. Yeah, thank you, Jen.
Thank you very much, Eric. And just maybe to like quickly add on, like on the application for like Mandela Washington Fellowship and other fellowships, I always advise that you people go to the eligibility criteria. You must always follow those instructions and the criteria they follow. There are no exemptions that are going to be made for you because you finished university and never did volunteer experience or something they are looking for. And it is the simple things. Remember how I keep telling you, like when I send a job advertisement and I say I'm looking for A, B, C, D, and you want me to convert EFGH to be A, B, C, D, it never happens this way. So make sure you always like follow the simple instructions in terms of what you do with your life. I know we all have some free time in our hands. Those small things like leadership in the chat group, leadership in your community, because the main goal of Mandela Washington Fellowship program is to really like nurture a new generation of young African leaders who actually believe in community service, in equality, in all forms of equalities. And you are either serving, you could either be serving in public administration, in civic leadership, in, let's say, more like business and entrepreneurship. Your like your career path is always aligned, or your passion is always aligned to something. So when something like this comes up, all you need to do is to look back on your many years and take stock of those years and use that stock to profile and market yourself for the opportunity. And just to let you know, like There's the Mandela Washington Fellowship, the 6-week program that people go to in the US. I'll post the link here. But there's also the regional leadership centers where they nurture young people on leadership and all those other skills within the regional, like the yearly regional leadership center. So sometimes you may not qualify to the bigger one, but you also qualify to the local one. But even the local one gives you equal opportunities and equal linkages with the other one. So don't say you just want to do the one in the US because it's in the US. Hey, everybody wants to go to the US. But like Kenyatta University hosts the Regional Leadership Center, right, Eric?
Yes.
Yes, so I am expecting, like, I hope a lot of students from Kenyatta and others have taken advantage of applying to different cohorts. And the beauty with the regional leadership centers is that you don't really have to have your idea in the full implementation stage. They really support you from the ideation stage to really like trying to figure out your innovation or your creativity or your co-creation to something more sustainable and more tangible. So like really like take small steps. And like I said, those small steps are the stock that you take when you want to apply for something bigger. But
Yeah,
if you do
Jenna,
nothing, yes,
sorry,
Eric.
I wanted to add that even exactly what you're saying, the small steps build up to the bigger step, because even if you get some of the fellows have actually started from the local fellowship and graduated to the Mandela Washington Fellowship, or even that propelled them to other fellowship out there. So it's okay and it's fine wherever you start, just start.
Oh, yes, you must start somewhere. So we have like 3 more questions, Eric, but because I recognize that we are all like having some long days and long calls, I want us to take a sensory break for like 5 minutes. We come back at 19:05, and Feroz and Dina Ayetso, you'll ask your questions, and there's also a question on the chat. Please, as you go for the break, I have reshared the links to the social media pages. So far, I know there's something you've picked from this conversation. Please go pick out on the post about Eric's story and everything, reshare them on your platform so that your friends who have not been lucky to be in this session may have a gist of how it is to have such an inspiration on a one-on-one conversation. And we really hope towards the end, when COVID is over, we'll be able to bring people like Eric in our final graduation and pitch competition. So please make sure you go share the social media platforms. And we take a break and we'll be back at 19:05. Thank you. So commercial break. Joseph, I think you'll be putting some music during break.
Woke from my sleep. Woke from a dream. Got me on my feet. Think the birds who sing. I'm here to try anything. I'm done with the suffering. It's time to stand up and sing for my life. I'm here now to try it all. I'm ready to take a fall, cause I'm an original. Why tonight? And I won't waste my life being typical. I'ma be original, even when it's difficult. And I won't change myself when they tell me no. I'ma be original. I'ma be original. No, I won't change my life being difficult. I'ma be original, even when it's difficult. No, I won't change myself when they tell me no. I'ma be original. I'ma be
Ate?
original.
Thank you,
Um,
Tafazwa.
Yes, I'm very sure our guest has had the time to take some water and some air burger. So, Eric, are you there? Eric? Oh, he's there.
I'm right here.
Eric. Oh, perfect. Yes, so the next session, I'm going to ask my colleague who did not speak and was in the back end ensuring that everybody is doing as expected to take over like the next set of questions, and then we'll be ready to kind of close it and call it a day. But before then, Joseph, introduce yourself and then I'll hand you over to Eric.
Okay, thank you,
And
Jen.
it's going to be a man talk now. And you also tell us your background.
Today you have put me on a fix.
Yes.
Okay, to our engineer, Eric Ngondi, HSC. You know, I must add that title.
Yes.
I'm Joseph, an IT graduate from Moi University, currently working with Unilever Kenya, a person with albinism, but supporting this initiative as the IT technical bench. So ensuring that all background work is done, you know, the dirty work behind here, so that we can have the seamless flow of event in this action. So I will be taking over for the next few questions that have been asked, and keep them coming. I'm now taking charge. It will be manly somehow, as Jen said. Now we may want to hear from also the boy child how. I know there was a question that, or there was something that was alluded to by, is it Brian? Yeah. How we get, now we'll get to hear that more. So keep your questions coming and we'll be sure to take it. Now, I start with the first question that is on the chat. Sorry.
Joseph, you can actually allow those that had hands up to
Yeah.
talk as you pick up the questions from the chat.
Okay, okay.
We still have, yes, we have
Feiruz.
Faiz. Yes.
Feiruz Bashir, you can be going.
Yes. My question is, fast forward thinkers and positive-minded people like you, which we actually really appreciate. I'm sure you've seen from the chats how people are appreciating the way you are positively speaking. My question would be, what are you doing for the people who come after you so that they don't get discriminated the way you did from these job offers that you actually qualified for? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Feroz. Yeah, it's paramount. So for what am I doing for people who are coming after us? There are several things that I could be doing, but it has to be, part of us to really always want to leave the place better than you found it, to leave the people that you found more interested or more, better than the way you found them. So, for example, this could be happening in many spheres. And one is in the area of disability movement, for example. Actually, I one day woke up and say, this is one area I'll start sort of advocating. I started by advocating for my own rights. And now I feel like where I am now, I'm advocating for people. And so I'm in many groups, many, we call them disability persons organizations, that I actually put my voice on issues, try to champion things to happen, to leave this space better than we found it. So you'll find me involved in training, in speaking on issues about disability, are also even in my area where I work, I'm engaged in different groups or different committees in order to try and champion our issues as persons with disabilities. So I could say that that is somehow what I'm doing. It's not like I want to, I'm leaving legacy projects behind like, a president, but I'm actually engaged in many things to try and add my voice, add my capacity, add my, my training, my experience in order to make the place better than I found it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Eric. Before we go to dinner, Ayitso, we'll take this one from Caleb. Did you ever consider working with the people with disability before you became visually impaired?
Good question. The straight answer is no. The not straight answer is I actually, looking back, had not interacted with persons with disabilities. In fact, if I remember well, when I joined the JKUAT, the whole of the time that I was there, only towards my 5th year, did we have a student who was a wheelchair user joining us at JKUAT. And it was, we felt like, we operated more from a charity model sort of view of disability, whereby you look at a person with disability, like you feel like you want to help them. You want to, in Swahili, kuwasaidia. Take mark of the word kuwasaidia, and them, not or us, So that's the sort of place I was operating from. Yeah, actually, I used to even pass the school where I trained for orientation and mobility. I used to pass that gate, and I always used to wonder exactly what happens inside there. So yeah, and that's why advocacy and awareness is paramount for people who may not be people with disabilities, so that they know, so that they interact, so that tell us that actually we live in a one world, a holistic world, not a sort of a world where we have people who are disabled, and then there is also a world where there are people without disabilities. Thank you.
Okay, for those maybe who might not have interacted with persons with disability, I know now you've gotten another perception from whatever Eric has shared with us, and it's time for us to interact with them so that we won't be saying to ourselves, referring to them as another cluster of people outside there. So you don't have to get that disability for you to interact with those people. So I know you might have interacted in this platform with people with various kinds of disability. So feel free to interact with them, know their day-to-day activity. Now, over to you, Dina. You have a question, and is it Dina or Dina?
Hello, it's Dina. I'm from Zetech University, and I have a question for Eric. When you are moved from your first job to your second job, and you answered your first job first, did you like victimize yourself and you said like, now that I have a disability, so you have to give me that first job? Like, how did you take it? Or you knew the first job was your job and you are passionate about it and you had to do it? Thank you.
Thank you, Dina, for that. Yeah, you see, there is a certain way as people we operate. So if I don't know what you're taking at Zetech, but there is that feeling that whatever you're studying now is what you're probably going to sort of work on as you graduate. And that was where I was also operating from. But additional to that, I was passionate about the area of environment. So the moment I was moved from something which wasn't environment, I felt like, to one, I felt like it was because of my disability, and two, that I have actually been dealt a blow, because now I'm doing something that I've not trained, I've not experienced, and I feel like I've sort of been let down, and I kept on championing to get back. So that was the area I was operating. However, sometimes in life, you comes a time when you do need to take a round turn and just take stock, as Jen will say, and say, you know, maybe this is not the line that I want, and you be bold enough to take another thing. It can be an area of career, it can be area of what you call it, relationship, and these things happen. Thank you, Dina, for the question.
Thank you, Eric. I'm still trying to look if there's some more questions, but I see that we have none, but we'll take a question from Josfera. Josfera?
Hello, I'm Sarah from Mount Kenya University, and my question is, how do you organize, plan, and prioritize your work? How do you organize, plan, and prioritize your work?
All right. How do I organize my work? I didn't get the other part.
How you plan,
yes,
organize, and execute your work.
Wonderful question. Yes. So if we look at the area of my job, I sort of can say have a routine. I get to the office. I know what I'll handle. Some things as an environment officer or a compliance and environment officer, the sort of things I do is to handle what we call incidences. So a building has collapsed in Kisii, we may need to report there and just see why did that building collapse in the first place. And we do not do that as only environmentalists, but a combination of teams from different from different government organizations, what we call agencies, yeah? So that is one. Others is when people report some instances or complaints about the things they're experiencing in their, let's say, home, their residence, be like quarries, be noise, be constructions and all that. So at the end of the day, I have a list of complaints to handle through using different ways, whether it's to develop a policy around that, a regulation about that, instituting a team, whether it's a police or an inspector, sort of handle such kind of a thing, or just myself and the team visit the site on the ground. So that's how I sort of plan the day, yeah, as it comes. When I'm engaged in other things, I need to be flexible enough so that I can as well do other things that I'm passionate about. Yeah, that's the sort of an organization that I do. I'm sort of a spontaneous person. Yeah, but of course, planning, when you plan, of course, you plan to excel. And when you do not plan, you plan to fail. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll take another question from Wendy Lumasia, and then I will take one from the chat. Wendy Lumasia.
Good evening, Eric. I am Wendy Lumasia at Kenyatta University, a second year taking Bachelor of Commerce, but I'm also a believer. I heard you mention at one time you are a Christian. I'm just curious to know, when all this was happening to you, you first lose your, the sight on your left eye and then on your right eye, and then that cascades to you losing your job. Do you at one time think like, the devil was now taking charge of your life, or you were this confident that, you know what, all things happen for good for those who trust in God? Where were you in terms of your faith at that moment?
Good question, Wendy. Yes, my belief or my principle is never ask God why. So I sort of stepped into that space and soldiered on or moved on with life. And that's how I operate. And that's the kind of a person that I am. I'm not telling you to be that. I'm not also not acknowledging your the experiences that we go through as students, as persons with disability, as people without disabilities. However, as a believer, I feel like God is always in control, or whatever the circumstances or whatever the experiences that we get through. And that's my principle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hope Dina, your question is answered. This one I know it's from a point of special need and of course the reasonable accommodation and such. So from Caleb, I would like to fit my recreation and sport management course to fit the disabled, but I need advice on how to start my career journey. Can you advise me on what I can do?
Okay, good question, Caleb. And I like that, you've actually started focusing at the different opportunities that can be there in sports. Even there's a huge career in the sports arena for persons with disability. So where do you think you can start? I may not have the experience in that area. However, I feel like now that you've developed interest and you have the qualifications in that space, I think it's high time that you look what is out there, what is available out there, link with people in that space, create the base of knowing what do other specialists in the area of sports for persons with disabilities do, what other diverse options are there, because disability is a devolving concept. People with disabilities are not homogeneous people. I mean, they are diverse as the world can be. Yeah. So you really need, you just look out your niche. I don't know what sort of experience that, or rather, or rather, let me say that what you have in your hand, you can actually do with it. You can do a lot with it, just simply because you have the interest. Now it's high time to see what exactly happens out there, especially from the specialist in that field. Thank you very much, Caleb.
Just before Caleb, Eric.
Yes.
Sorry. just before Caleb is, I actually just thought about, just before we move from his question on recreational and sports management, one of the things that I actually personally experienced for the first time, it was during the Mandela Washington Fellowship. I was in Berkeley in California, and I got an opportunity to be part of an inclusive sports program that is inclusive cycling, inclusive kayaking, inclusive like boating and canoeing, those things, like, the things like sailing. Like I even joined a sailing club, and you can imagine sailing, you also watch the direction of the wind, and if you can't see, you listen to the wind. So what I could do for Caleb, just like a quick thought, is to like link him with someone who has experience in inclusive sports.
Wonderful.
In fact, yes. And once, because one of the other things for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, there are also opportunities for you to engage in like reciprocal exchange programs. So this particular inclusive sports organization, we've actually ran inclusive cycling programs here in Kenya. And it's also up in the Mandela Washington Fellowship page. So maybe having somebody, I know in Kenya, we are not yet there in terms of being inclusive when it comes to recreation and sports, especially like even you look at the basic gyms and the sports that we engage in. So being linked to a mentor, I think for me would be a first starting point because it's really your passion. And I have seen you ask this question many times. And thank you for talking about Yali, because I've just remembered, like, I have someone who could mentor you. So remind me on that, Caleb.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Dina, your hand is up.
I have a question for Eric. So, like Eric, I believe you attend many activities like seminars, workshops, and many other activities. So, as a person with disabilities, do you like expect a special treatment, or you're like, I'm Eric and I'll have to do you like be like other people, or you kind of expect special treatment because of your disability? Thank
Very
you.
good question, Dina. Yeah. Actually, I do not expect special treatment for me as a person with disability. However, I expect accommodations or inclusion for me to be in that space and participate fully, just alongside others. So if, for example, I come into a, what do you call it, a room, and you're presenting pictures and everyone is seeing what's on the PowerPoint and I cannot see that, I may put up my hand and ask, maybe you describe, to me now that, and for our persons with disability, that's, you're asking for what is rightly yours. It's your right to demand for a reasonable accommodation. So I want someone to describe that picture or that clip so that I move along with others. So I do not expect special treatment. In fact, I prefer when I'm treated as Eric and not as a, with different treatment because I'm a person with disability. And I think that's a good angle to always look at things. Yeah, you develop this way of championing for the rights of your fellow friends who are persons with disabilities. Maybe be at the campus. So for example, when they come at the dining hall and maybe they cannot access that space, well, you can ask them at that point in time to maybe to aid them or help out. But in essence, the bigger thing will be to champion for that space to be accessible for that person and many others. Thank you.
Let me get angry for a minute. So someone is asking, concerning the Mandela Washington Fellowship, must one be above the age of 25 or younger, or a younger person can apply? So it's very clear in the criteria that the age must be between 25 to 35. Like I said, the criteria will not be bent. So before you get to that 25, work on your stock that you will take to get to 25 and have many things to say that you have achieved before 25 to apply for that fellowship. And there are other younger fellowships. I mean, other many fellowships that need younger people like you. And I wish if Patricia Mativo and some group from Multimedia, there's fellowship. I know you applied as a group and got it. Do we have anyone from Multimedia to tell us about it? Because I feel like let's stop casting our stones on one fellowship because Eric was in it or Jane was in it. There are so many opportunities out there. Health prize people, do we have anyone? Multimedia.
Hi.
Yes,
Hello, Jen.
yes, quickly in like 2 minutes. Tell us, you're not 25 yet, right, Patricia?
Yeah. So you want me to tell you about Health Prize?
No, I want you to tell these other young people that there are so many other opportunities for fellowships and opportunities open there, and give example of the one that you are in.
Oh, yes. So apparently there are a lot, very much, like we have Health Prize, we have Enactors, where students are given opportunities to start thinking like entrepreneurs as early as now. So if you're here, you should try to like grab any of these opportunities that come to your school, because at the end of the day, you grow as a person, and you also grow your network. You become more mature, let me say, in terms of business. Yes. Personally, ever since I joined Health Prize, I'm not the same person as I was before Health Prize, and many more. Yeah.
Thank you, Patricia. So there's so many opportunities out there for you people. So don't mind because one doesn't meet your criteria. You know, like there's so many others that will adapt and adjust and fit in the person that you are in. Thank you. Sorry, Eric, for intercepting.
No. That's it's actually a very good point. That always be open-minded. Yeah, look out for more opportunities. Don't be transfixed on one opportunity, which at this moment may be out of your reach. Yeah, also be quite let me say adventurous. Yeah, look out for things that maybe you've not tried before. So, for example, what sort of experience can you bring on a scholarship from, if the way Caleb said, is a person in an area of sports? What sort of experience can you bring in the field, for example, of business management? Yeah. Thank you.
I have a closing question for Eric. We still have a hand, Kagoda. Joseph.
Yes, we have a hand from Mary Kibe.
Mary Kibe, the last question, huh?
It's not a question, it's something that I wanted to share with the rest of the members. I've posted, people can try out Millennial Campus Fellowship. Yeah, Millennium Campus Fellowship. They can also try to apply for Rhodes Scholarship. Apart from being given a scholarship to Oxford University, you get such other opportunities out there. So I'm just trying to tell people there are way more opportunities out there, but especially Rhodes and MCN are really good. And I also posted a link on the WhatsApp group where they can even join Yali Network. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. I think that was really good. So Eric, maybe to like close it all, how do you feel, because all these students are in university and they've had like their majors and they're sure of getting into the job market. How has your university degree consummated with what you're doing today? Should they worry like what they're doing is redundant in the market? Are there jobs for the degrees that are coming out of universities? And and we use your own example, like, are you working on what you studied or are you in a different line of field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good question, Jane. Yeah, very good question. And I like to say that, you know, as soon as you join campus or in any education or learn something, there's nothing that is ever not relevant, or something that whatever you learn, whatever the degree or the certificate or the paper that you get, it's not, it's it's relevant, and it's relevant in this way. One, the experience you've gained, someone somewhere needs that experience, and you can become an expert in that area, providing those services, and thereby getting a job there, or you yourself developing that market altogether. So there is no experience that is sort of irrelevant. So for me, I did engineering, water and environment. Do I use that? It has got me in NEMA. Do I use like 100% of it? No. Do I use partly the knowledge? Yes, I use the experience and the knowledge that I got from that degree. It opens doors for me in as much as it may be not relevant as a degree in the area it has opened doors for me. So for example, as a person with disability and a person who loves championing and advocating and creating awareness of issues about persons with disability, I have this lens of an engineer. So for example, when I work in a session, several people in that space may be people from the background of, maybe social sciences, or they have a different experience in the area of disability, simply because that's what maybe they learned, or that's what they know. Personally, I bring in a different angle, of an engineering lens. So for example, this thing we're talking about accessibility, so people are demanding for accessibility, but why does it not happen? So I go back and look. When I was in campus, I never heard anything about, how we can make this infrastructure available or accessible for persons with disability. So I came out here as a sort of a learned engineer, but I have not experienced, how persons with disability will benefit with the the sort of things that I may create. And now that I've joined that category of persons with disability, now I have this lens that, in that space, you can put some engineering skills or some engineering experience to also aid persons with disability in that area. So that's how the knowledge that you have become relevant, yeah? And you can create it relevant. So for example, we know lawyers who are businessmen. We know sports personalities who use their sports knowledge in the area of environment. So for example, you've heard of the Lewa marathons and all that, yeah? They have their sports experience, bringing it in an environment setting. So that's how actually it becomes relevant to you. So there is nothing that is not relevant. Whatever you're learning is quite relevant. And even when you come out and you find that maybe you're not getting the jobs, or the career that you thought maybe you'll have in area as let's say as a nurse, you may join let's say administration, but the fact that you are a nurse, it does not make you a lesser nurse. Now you bring in that knowledge and experience of a nurse into administration. And that's why you've seen some experienced doctors somewhere at the front desk managing hospitals. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Any closing remarks? And as Eric is doing his closing remarks and leaving you, his younger sisters and brothers, with 2-3 words. I want volunteers on the chat people to raise their hands from different on the chat. Remember the way we do our vote of thanks. So I need one student from every university, and you're only speaking for a minute. Yes, put your names on the chat. So Eric, your closing remarks.
Yes, first I want to say, I thank you very much, Jane and Joseph, the man behind the beautiful show, and all of you students for, joining this. I think it's been a worthwhile for me. I think as young people, as you grow up, as you learn, it's paramount to understand that, life is a journey. And sometimes it may not be as straight as expected. However, I'll depend upon you how you're going to take up the experience that you gain or have, and
Joseph, please mute everybody else.
Okay.
Joseph.
We
Sorry,
can proceed.
Eric.
We can proceed.
Okay.
Eric.
Yeah. Sorry. I was saying life is not a straight line. So things will be thrown at you along the way. And it will be paramount for you to really pick up yourself and continue moving. I'll expect you to really soldier on when things come, when you, let's say, you've not expected them. When you, let's say, for example, anything can happen to you or to the ones you love or to anything in your life. I'll expect you to be strong because generally this life is not a straight line. And as you come out of campuses or learning institution, be hopeful, yeah? Be a hopeful person and things will be better, yeah, along the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eric. I see I already have volunteer from JKUAT and KU. Team US or Multimedia, I see there's a volunteer, but if you've done it before, please, another person from Multimedia. I need someone from Multimedia, I need someone from Zetech, and I need someone from JKUAT. JKUAT, you're letting your fellow former schoolmate down.
And I've not had a
Mary
question.
Kibe, you have not given vote of thanks before.
No, I haven't.
Okay, then we have Multimedia, we have UDS. So I'm going to call from the bottom. So UDS from Multimedia, please give your vote of thanks. 1 minute. 1 minute to express to Eric how the session was. And yes.
Hello, Jane and other members. Thank you for the interactive time that you've had all together. Actually, Eric, you've changed a lot of things, my perceptions, and you've taught me how to take life. And I love your encouragement. I love your principles. You see, it is not everyone who accepts the situations in which they are in, but for you, thumbs up. Thank you, and see you some other times. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, UDS. I have Shamim Omar of JKUAT.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Eric, I'd love to say a big thank you for making time for us and motivating us. From all that you've said, I now believe that we should be diverse and always believe that everything happens for a good reason. May God bless you and be with your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shamim. Mary Kibe, USIU.
Okay. As you've heard, my name is Mary Wangoi Kibe from USIU. I am very grateful for you creating time, Mr. Eric, and availing yourself today. As I've mentioned before, I really think you'll make a great mental health mental health champion, because I love the way you perceive life and how positive and optimistic you are and how accepting you are of the situation you're in. I am so grateful. I really feel inspired today. And as much as we give up easily, or we feel that maybe our dreams will never come to pass, you have showed us the contrary, that if you keep pushing, if you keep believing, your dreams are valid. So thank you so much for creating time. I have learned a lot. I don't even have words to express, but thank you so much, and be blessed, and may your family also be blessed. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary Kibe. Dina Zetech.
I would like to thank our speaker. It has been such an awakening talk, and I'm very happy. May God bless you, and for sure, I'm the change my family, friends, and my school requires. I'm a very changed person after hearing this talk, and I'm determined to do what it takes to be a better person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dina. Let me have Brenda Apudo. Eric, it's girls' school. I don't see any man willing to say thank you to you, but well, it's nature. No, Brenda Apudo.
Okay, good night, guys. I'm Brenda Fodo from KU. I would like to thank the speaker because I'm not going to leave here the same person. I'm not going to leave here as I came. I'm going to leave here with a changed perception, a changed principle. And to Eric, I admire you. And I admire your personality. You accepted who you are. You know what you want. So in life, as you said, in life, you don't make your situations hold you back. Move on, be an open-minded person, and all will be well. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Brenda. Feroz Bashir, I know you are the first person, and that's why I'm giving you this chance. Feroz.
Yes, Jen, thank you. There's one thing I liked from how you spoke about you didn't have that change to create a whole empire for the people so that they don't get discriminated again. But there's something that a friend of mine told me once, and I think there's unity in the things that we do, and if you just cast that one stone, which you did, and another person cast the other stone, that unity will bring the change that we needed. And I hope that has inspired many people in this room tonight. And thank you for all the inspiration and positivity you have created tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Feroz. Last person is going to be Caleb. You're speaking for half a minute, and you give Byron the word that we learned tonight. I think we should learn engineer, but you make your choice. So, Caleb.
Thank you very much, Jen. I'll take just some few minutes, some few seconds. Some few seconds, okay. According to what Eric has said, we must all learn one thing. There's always two sides of a coin. He has told us about his successful story, but outside here, we'll interact with a lot of disabled people. And some of you may be having some attitude towards them. But what I can just tell you, the least that you can do to them is learn some etiquette that you can interact with them, some basic etiquette. Many a times I always see people with disability. You find that we really empathize with them in a way that we want to do everything for them. But I've learned so far that that's not the best thing to do. Let them do for themselves. Let them show their capability. They are also able. You should not go and help them before they ask for it. So the least that you can do for them, even if you feel like you are not that much related to them, but the least you can do to them is just to learn some etiquette to interact with them. so that you can avoid the stigmatization between us and the special population. As I just said before, there are always two sides of the coin. Eric has showed us the successful story of him despite having disability. But there are also others who doesn't have that chance to get
Caleb, we are cutting
the
you off. We
successful story.
cannot hear you.
Thank you. Okay.
So Byron, teach us the word engineer. We lost Caleb, it's okay. We have captured what he said.
Okay, for engineer, both hands.
Byron?
For engineer, both hands open palm. Both hands open palm. Widen up like a web, then they interlock. Okay? After interlocking.
Eric, we need to see you do signing in. So you put your
I'm not sure.
hand.
So, Eric?
Okay.
I'm not sure
Repeat.
So both hands.
Yes.
Open palm. Open palm, right? So
Yeah.
now let the palm face you. The palm face you, yeah. Then with the tips of the fingers, the tips of the fingers touching each other.
Okay.
So yours is vertical. I want it to be horizontal. With the tips of, yeah, exactly. Then open it up like a web.
Oh, like.
Then let the fingers, no, the same way it was.
Yeah.
The same way it was before. Just, yeah. Then let the fingers interlock in between each other. Let the fingers interlock, right? So when you interlock, you just shake the movement, that the vibration you get from a machine, right?
Okay.
So that is the vibration you get from a machine. And because it's a person, then you just draw a vertical space with your open hand from up towards down. It's like you're drawing a rectangle. Yeah. Right?
Like so?
Yes. With your palms open now.
Yeah, with your palms open. So after interlocking, so when you interlock, that is engineer. That is like a machine, right?
Yes. Yes.
Then if you want to represent a person, you untangle the hands, just untangle the hands. Then you, after untangling, let the tips of the hands face forward.
Face
parallel
forward.
to each other. Parallel to each other.
Okay.
Face forward, parallel to each other. Now the tips should paint like you're pointing at me with open palm.
Hey, like so?
Yeah.
Are you seeing what I'm doing?
you are down the sign space. But for person,
I will teach you, Eric. That one I'll take personal responsibility.
Yeah, but for the machine, that is okay. You can just the interlock one. Then for personalization, then you personalize. That is an engineer, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sijaona watu wakifanya.
Actually, there's a type of sign language that we call tactile communication that we use when you're communicating with a blind or a deaf-blind person. But teaching it online is quite tricky, so it's one-on-one kind of.
I will send Byron your way, Eric, on my bill.
Yeah, I look forward. Thank you for that. It's beautiful.
Yes,
I'm also learning.
Thank you so much. I will read only 2 messages from the chat and we call it a day. Thank you so much for the amazing session. I've learned that we are not limited with whatever we experience or go through. And I've also learned to be flexible in this life, and all things work for good. Truly no human is limited. Esther Kageni, she's from JKUAT. Then thank you, Engineer Eric, for the time you have shared with us, and the coordinations, Mr. Joseph and Jane. Thank you to all. Bye-bye. We meet next class. So you can only be sure who my next speaker for Tuesday will be. See you all on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And good night.
We meet at level 1 in 2 minutes. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.